Hey guys, James here, and yeah, Omni-Man vs. Homelander is one-sided. We all fucking knew it. Anywho, next episode, we expected it, and I'm just gonna start off as I have no opinion. Good. Alright, off to a great start. But next time is Magneto versus Tetsuo, and I don't really have an opinion on this matchup. I know a lot of people aren't happy about it. People either want Magneto to fight Accelerator from a certain magical index, I think it is. And then people want Tetsuo to fight Shinji from Evangelion. Or Mewtwo from Pokemon. Personally, I didn't care what matchup we got for any of them. Because I don't really know these characters. So I'm obviously not going to really care. Like, on Magneto, then, I've read a Magneto comic. I don't think I have it anywhere. It's in, like, a pile of comic books, like, right down there. But I've only read one comic. So, I'm kind of familiar with this character. Maybe with, like, the gist. But not fully knowledgeable on the character. While Tetsuo, I've only watched half of Akari, or Akira. I think it's Akira. Yeah, Akira. I've only watched half of that movie, and I have a good respect of it after learning how, like, this is basically the movie that popularized anime in the West, so, excuse me, I have respect for the film. But as a actual film I would watch, I find it boring, and I think it's just a not for me. I don't think it's a bad film at all. It's stunning, animation-wise. I just don't think it's a movie for me personally, but I respect it and see why it's considered a beloved film. So, but yeah, I don't really have opinions on these two. I'm not knowledgeable on either. I know the bare minimum on the characters, so that's something. It's something, I guess. Fucking hell. I'm glad it's happening at the least. I'm glad these characters are in. Magneto, I'm surprised it took this long to get him in. He's such a classic Marvel character. I'm surprised it took him this long. He's been name dropped before with, like, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Iron Man in his latest episode. So I'm glad he's here. I'm interested in learning about his character. He seems cool, especially from the comic I read. And then Tetsuo, I'm glad he's here. I don't really care if he's here or not, but given the importance of Akari for anime in the West, I'm glad he's here. I'm glad Akari's getting some Death Battle representation. So, it'll likely be their only representation, but I'm glad we're getting it, nonetheless. So, a lot of people aren't happy about it. Some are hyped that at least these characters are being in the show now. I fall into the category of I'm incredibly neutral, but I'm glad they're here anyways, so I guess I could say I'm excited for it. Because I have some ideas that I think could be pretty cool. And it's going to be more than just those prediction videos of just fucking Tetsuo dies. Because spoiler alert, Tetsuo dies. I did ask around on the Death Battle Discord about, like, where do these characters scale to? Because I knew Magneto won. I just didn't know where they scale to. And starting on the similar side, Tetsuo, he gets to multi-continental averagely, like that's his average, with subrella speeds. There are planet arguments. Those are the highball arguments about, like, I looked into some of these. I don't remember exactly what the multi-continental feats are, but I have looked a bit into the planet feats, and they're more so statements. Like, one was that with the combined power of Akira, and I'm gonna keep calling it Akari on accident. I'm sorry, I'll try to correct myself. But with the combined power of Akira and Tetsuo, they could destroy the world. And then the the protagonist of Akira. I don't remember his name. It starts with a K. Kamane? I think it's Kamane. I'm gonna Google that actually. I don't script this, if you can tell. Akira main character. Kanade. Kanade, he said that he was worried that Tetsuo might destroy the Earth. Destroy the planet in the manga. So, that's kind of where the planet statements come from. So, they're more so just... maybe he could destroy the Earth. We have no, like, direct way of saying that 100% he will destroy the Earth. And then I guess there's some uni arguments about, like, Tetsuo, like, him, like, Akira kind of sent Tetsuo into his own universe, which he created his own universe in that universe. Like, essentially making the Big Bang, creating another universe, and that's, like, the uni argument. But from what I hear, it's very tricky to actually use that, and if Tetsuo should actually get to that range. And we don't really see this feat happen. It's implied in a way, but it's very unclear. I think that's how it is. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not knowledgeable on Akira. I looked at the manga. I saw the manga in Barnes & Noble, picked it up. I saw it was 25 bucks, said nope, and just slid that in and got something from over here. I probably got a Soul Eater, maybe. Probably not. Probably call me. I don't know. But, yeah, that's where, like, you get for Tetsuo. I don't know what the sub-relic stuff are, by the way. I want to say it's, like, reacting to those... They're not lasers, like plasma beams, I think they are, that kind of cut people in half or whatever. Like him, like, making a telekinetic shield right in front of it. Sorry. I think that might be the sub-relic feat, like him doing that. I did watch some clips of Akira to try to understand, like, what stuff that Tetsuo can do. As for Magneto's side, he's a Marvel Herald. He is a low-tier Marvel Herald, but that still makes him uni and massively faster than light at the minimum. And apparently he even has a direct Dwarf Star feat, where Tetsuo's high-end feat is through bucket statements. So even using that Dwarf Star feat, which they probably will, they might use the planet arguments to try and make the seam close for Tetsuo, but will likely just use the Dwarf Star feat. I think I was punching an equivalent of the sun from Magneto. I don't know. I know they're like... I think there is some scaling to one of Iron Man's suits, but I don't remember which one from like Batman vs Iron Man. But then like there's still like the uni shit, the scaling to Marvel Heralds. Some that like are like 9,000 times strong, like had the power to destroy the universe 9,000 times over or some shit. I don't know. Oh god. And then, like, the massively fast and light stuff, he scales to X-Men characters who have dodged lasers on numerous occasions. So, yeah, Tetsuo's fucked. Does that mean this is a bad matchup, though? No. I did look at the connections for the matchup, and from what I remember, it was a very short list of connections. Not two sentences, but like 3 lines or something. It was not big. But basically they are both telepaths, I think that's the right word, who were both experimented on, and then like they used their telekinetic powers to revolt against the government officials that were experimenting on them. And, like, going a godly rampage or something like that. And, like, they're both the, like, unfortunate villains, I believe. Because, like, Tetsuo, he was just a regular biker in some shitty Tokyo called Neo Tokyo, and, like, the shitty parts of it. And just got in an accident with a kid. And then got experimented on by the government, which gave him these telekinetic powers. As on Magneto's side, from the one comic I've read, he was a mutant and was sent to basically what was a concentration camp for mutants. Jesus. Where Red Skull's Adolf Hitler. I don't know if this is really his origin. I've read one comic. So, the connections obviously aren't like this big long list, but I do think they are solid enough to not really say it should be called bad or their worst option, because we could have gotten Magneto versus Darth Vader. I want people to let that sink in about, like, what we could have been, what we could have gotten. But, yeah, connection-wise, I can see why some people may not like it, but I do think it's not as bad as people make it out to be. So, connections are fine enough, I guess. They're alright. And then, like, the debate is non-existent, just like last time, but I don't know. This Soul season really hasn't been that debatable outside of, I guess, some things as Harley Quinn versus Jinx, and then Scarlet Witch versus Zatanna, since most people got their bets wrong on that one, including myself. I should have changed my bets. I was thinking about it, too, when we got through Zatanna's rundown. Or Zatanna? I don't know. Anywho, what I'm hoping to see from this episode, it's not a lot, but I like the ideas that I kind of came up with. This is very loud. I need to figure out how to fucking edit. But I do have some ideas that I do like. But first, let's like look at an animation, like what could be the animation style, and I'm hoping it'll be Sprite with some cool hand-drawn animations, because this season has been spectacular with his hand-drawn moments. Like, Scarlet Witch vs. Zatanna had some really cool hand-drawn moments at the end. John vs. Tanjiro, fantastic hand-drawn moments. 4 vs. Vegeta, great hand-drawn moments, especially with 4 at the end. And then Omni-Man vs. Homelander, that was an entirely hand-drawn episode, and it looked spectacular in the, like, animation viewpoint. So, I'm hoping this will be Sprite with some sick hand-drawn animation, because in Akira, there is always movement on screen with this animation. So, while I don't want to exactly replicate that, that's asking for too much. I would like to have some cool-looking hand-drawn moments, but it's a Sprite episode. I could also see this being a 3D episode. We haven't had one since Harley Quinn vs. Jinx. But I think at this point, we won't get a 3D one until the mid-season finale. Also, it could work in 3D. They have a Magneto model, which isn't bad, but I would say update it or find a better one. And you could probably make Tetsuo work in 3D. I'm not 100% certain on that. But if you can, sure. I think there do exist some models, and they always can make custom models. But yeah, I'm hoping Sprite, and I'm gonna base my idea all around Sprite. Excuse me. But for what I'm hoping to see with it, like, at the start of this animation, I kind of just want I want it to take place in this rundown city. It's, like, there is barely any life here. Barely, if any. It's just in ruins. Or you could do a Neo Tokyo, where, like, you can see Neo Tokyo up above and all, like, the lights to make it look like this fantastic place. But we are in the slums of Tokyo, where Akari mainly takes place. Akira, fuck. But, like, we see Magneto in an abandoned laboratory with, like, some shots of him just walking around or levitating with some, like, really good-looking hand-drawn of, like really, really good hand-drawn moments, like, aspects of, like, body parts in jars. I think that'd be cool, like an eyeball just floating in the jar, or, like, a brain with its stem still attached. Because I did see a clip sort of like that in Akira, like, when I watched, like, a clip of Akira and... not Akira. Tetsuo and Kanade fighting. Like, maybe you could have something like that. It was the Sprite Magneto. Like, it starts off with that, and then we get a bit of a hand-drawn Magneto with... It's like he's fuzzed out a bit, with our main focus just being on, like, this jar with floating body parts. Like a floating brain with a stem, or eyeball with the socket. Good. Saying that's actually affecting me a little bit. Anywho. And, like, outside, we see Tetsuo, like, driving on his motorcycle. Because the two main things that are referenced when, like, people reference Akira are the motorcycles and also just, the big flesh fucking thing at the end, which I'll get to later. Like, you gotta reference motorcycle, just, Tetsuo, like, driving on his motorcycle. Just walking to the, lab for some reason. You could probably find a reason. I don't know. I just wanted to take place in a lab at first. And, like, the fight starts from there, where it takes a bit takes place a little bit in the lab. But soon enough, like, it's destroyed by their psychic powers. You can have Magneto, like, lifting up metallic objects like cars, mailboxes, Tetsuo's own motorcycle, and just flinging them towards Tetsuo. While Tetsuo, like, shatters them apart or makes, like, a telekinetic barrier around him, like he did with those beams, to, like, reflect these. Or, like, bounce them off. And then maybe send back these objects, or, like, crumble up the buildings, or maybe even slam Magneto onto the ground himself, crushing the ground beneath him and trying to encase him. Or maybe even using the buildings and, like, have them crumble down towards Magneto. And, like, it kind of has, like, moments like these throughout the fight, and Sprite. Like, I don't want this to be a planet-busting fight like I did with the last two. I want this to be city-spanning. Or, like, destroy, like, good chunks of a city. The fight kind of, like, just takes place there, destroying the area around them. Mainly just buildings and shit. And then, like, more so around the end of the fight, like, Tetsuo, like, his psychic powers become too much for him. I read this is how it happens in Akira. But, like, his psychic powers become a bit too much for him, and he starts to mutate from his cybernetic arm. Or maybe, like, he has his regular arm at the start of the fight, but like, it gets cut off. And he recreates an arm out of metallic objects, because that's, like, the closest thing near him, because of Magneto. So, like, but, like, he's using too much of psychic powers, and his arm just starts to morph like it did in the like in the movie. And he just becomes this huge, grotesque monster. And Tetsuo is now completely in hand-drawn animation, while Magneto is still in Sprite. Maybe we get a shot of Magneto just floating up in the air, still in Sprite, looking down at Tetsuo. And, like, Tetsuo is, like, a bit fuzzy. Like, we were focusing on Magneto from the shot for a bit, as Tetsuo, like, rose more and more into, like, this mound of flesh and metal and machine. But then we get a good shot on Tetsuo, with Magneto being more phased. Like, the same shot, but Magneto is more fuzzy, with our attention being focused more so on Tetsuo, just morphing, and you can hear him cry out in pain and agony, begging for help. I watched the mutation scene, a good chunk of it at least, so I'm trying to reference it the best I can here. And this is the other scene that everyone knows references was Akira, outside the motorcycle. I can just see Tetsuo just in pure agony as becomes just a giant mound of flesh and machine. And this could either be a regular kill or a pity kill. Hearing Tetsuo cry out in pain. Like, Magneto maybe thinks that Tetsuo is also a mutant and understands his pain that he went through. Or just simply understands Tetsuo's pain. maybe figuring out that he was not born with these powers like he was, and the other X-Men or mutants. So he just, to kind of give this a pity kill, albeit still a brutal kill, because Akira is violent as shit and very dark. So I feel like you kind of have to have a bit of a bloody kill. This also might be the only way Magneto can think of to kill Tetsuo, with it being the best he can. But like, he uses the metal inside Tetsuo's body and also other metallic objects around him to just start crushing Tetsuo. Like, he encases Tetsuo in this metal and just compound it into just a metallic ball. Maybe you can have blood spewing out, maybe not, up to you, if you like that idea or not. Until Tetsuo is just crushed to pure death in this basketball sized metal ball. Where the pain, the cries of agony and pain just stop, and we get the finisher there. And then we get the KO. I like this idea. I don't know how in character this really is, or if is this actually how Magneto's power work. Because my understanding of Magneto's powers is that he controls metal, but I've heard it's been very inconsistent. He's been able to control other things, and even like the metal in people, like in their blood or whatever. I don't know, but he kind of just does this to put Tetsuo out of his misery. And then for the score, I kind of want to more so pull from Akira, because from what I've listened to the music from Akira, I actually really like it, and would love to see it used in the Death Battle score. What I more so just want is like the church organs and the religious chanting be present in the score. Like when Tetsuo first uses powers, that's when that part of the score kicks in and just amps up. Like, it is still there a little bit throughout the fight, but you can more so hear like the guitar, like your regular rock or heavy metal, you can mainly hear that throughout the track until getting to the very end when Tetsuo just starts forming into the flesh mound again. Like, you just hear the church organs just blare up, like just slamming on the keys, and the chanting becomes more prevalent. Like, chanting just becomes louder as Tetsuo is forming into a bigger pile of just flesh. And that'll be the score. And maybe you can have other elements. Like I said, the heavy metal or just metal. Maybe others, like pull other references from Akira. I think this would be very nice. Maybe an electronic track. I don't know how well that will work. Like something like Diabolical Invincible Me with the electronic parts from that. Oh, excuse me. I think that would work pretty well for the score with these characters. And then that's kind of it. Well, all I have left to say about this, actually. I don't have much to say, clearly. I'm not familiar with these characters. But I do like the ideas I came up with. Especially with what little I know about these characters. And I hope this actually does work with these type of characters. And also, like, this score can work. And, like, what I'm hoping next time will be, going by past season trends, I feel like the next one will be a cartoon episode. Because season 7, we got Danny Phantom versus Jake Long. Last season, we got Steven Universe versus Star Butterfly. So I'm hoping we get our cartoon episode next time, and then the one after that won't be a Marvel or DC episode, because we were promised new franchises, and yes, we've gotten 5 so far, with likely Predator coming up. But, like, Jesus Christ, we're 6 episodes in, 4 of them have been Marvel. 2 of them were DC, with only 2 episodes not featuring a Marvel or DC character. And we only had 1 video game character somehow. Jesus. So I'm hoping next time will be our cartoon episode, going by passing the trends. And there are 4 I think are pretty likely. 2 I think are way more likely than the other ones, but 4. The 2 I don't think are as likely are Dexter vs. Jimmy and Robot Boy vs. Jenny. Both of these matchups have become very popular, and Dexter vs. Jimmy probably had a decent shot happening last season. Even though it's not my preferred for Dexter, I like Stewie more for Dexter. Unpopular opinion, but that's my opinion. And Jenny versus Robot Boy has become pretty popular lately, thanks to Red Runner playing the MU out. But those I think are likely, not likely. They have a good chance, but I don't think they're the most likely ones. The ones I think are more likely to happen are either Homer versus Peter, or Finn and Jake versus Mordecai and Rigby. The reason why I think Peter versus Homer is because they've used a good amount of Family Guy and Simpsons clips this and last season. Oh, excuse me. Like, they even name dropped Stewie Griffin and Macho Man vs. Kool-Aid Man in the little sidebars, saying, like, Macho Man survived attack from Stewie Griffin or something like that. And they have used, like, a clip of Peter in Saitan vs. Popeye when talking about spinach, because Family Guy was doing a reference to that. Need another drink. So I do think, like, maybe you could do something like that. Or not do something like that. I'm thinking that episode might be likely this time. Also, apparently, next time airs on Father's Day, so let's have 2 shitty dads fight. And then the reason why I think Finn and Jake vs. Mordecai and Rigby is also likely to happen is because it's likely up there in the most requested matchups as of right now. People who grew up with these cartoons are very nostalgic about them right now. So, it has a good chance because of that alone, and also, again, pretty popular right now. But also, when they announced Ben 10 vs. Green Lantern, Sam said that they are interested in doing more cartoon characters in Death Battle. And then he listed Danny, Steven, and Finn. So, that does make me think that we are likely to get Finn this season, because we gotten Danny, we gotten Steven, we're just missing Finn, and then it'll be Finn and Jake versus Mordecai and Rigby. Plus, on the Death Battle Fireside chat, if I remember correctly, Chad did hint at the possibility of us getting a duo fight this season, which does make me think that might be that. There's not a lot of matchups I think would be a duo fight. Finn and Jake vs. Mordecai and Rigby are one of those ones where it's the biggest example of a duo fight. So, I do think it's likely for that reason. And I think it's more likely than Homer vs. Peter. But I would not mind Homer. I'm just going to say Peter vs. Homer. I would not mind Peter vs. Homer happening. I do like that matchup. And it would be funny to see him talk about Family Guy. Family Guy has been in a big resurgence lately. Just because a lot of people joke about it. Hey, Lois, remember the time? Remember the time we were good? Remember the time I was in a death battle, Lois? I could do Family Guy impressions. I hate that fact. But, yeah. I'm still fairly excited for this matchup. Well, for this episode. I'm interested in learning about Magneto, and watching some Akira clips have got me pretty decently excited about Akira being in the show. But, yeah. Hoping next time will be a matchup I am actually fully interested in. And not a Marvel or DC. But anyways, peace.